Hello everyone and welcome to Sunup. I'm Lyndall Stout. The ongoing drought is definitely taking its toll on the wheat crop, but the damage varies depending on where you are. So we sent our Dave Deacon out to find the good and the bad. We begin with some of the better wheat we found near El Reno.
A few cattle dot the fields off I-40 in Canadian County, where we met Barbara Borneman and her cattle.
We have 32 head out here grazing on, I think that's about 35 acres here, and then we had 15 acres across the little pasture area over here.
The Bornemans have dual-purpose wheat in the ground, but at this point, they're hoping to salvage whatever they can out of this crop.
With it being so dry, the wheat doesn't look real good, but we thought we'd get them out here and let them eat what they can and just keep hoping and praying for rain and hope that it'll help. And if we get this ate off, well, then we'll have to sell them if we don't get rain.
This year, this is an exception rather than the rule. We just don't have a lot of wheat pasture, and that we have is being grazed down fairly quickly.
Come on, baby!
We're probably looking at maybe 20% of the acres being grazed with cattle that would normally have cattle on it. That's how low the numbers are right now. You just can't turn cattle out when they're having to graze dirt.
Extension educator Brad Tipton says some of the fields are actually green in this drought because Canadian County was able to get some timely rains. But looking forward, the future of this year's wheat crop is actually up in the air.
Right now, we've got no subsoil moisture. It's disturbing when you're out here and these farmers are digging fence posts 4 foot deep, and it's powder dry in that subsoil. That gets folks' attention, and there's no correction for that problem except the heavens open up and we get some rainfall.
We turn to Jeff Edwards, small grains extension specialist, for a broader look at the Oklahoma wheat picture.
Well, we've got a couple of situations. Wheat like this that was sown in October with the intention of it being grain-only wheat, largely laid into the ground until we got some rain in November that allowed it to emerge. It's smaller than what we would like to see. If you look at the above ground portion, we've got 2 or 3 nice tillers started, which is where we want to be. My primary concern right now with wheat that is in this condition is that we don't have much of a rooting system. You can see here where the seed was, and these roots have started right there out of the seed, and those roots are generally just enough to get the plant going, get the plant established. What we rely on is this crown root system. If you plant wheat early for grazing, this is the root system that has to be developed before you can turn cattle out on the wheat, or else they'll pull it out of the ground, and that is just starting. We have just some little nubs of roots that have started in the crown, and we really need that crown root system to get developed to become a nice fibrous root system to tap into some moisture that's a little bit deeper in the soil. It's getting cold, we're into December. I don't know how much more root development we're going to get this winter, so we're going to need some real timely rains to keep this wheat going.
Right, okay, so let's go take a look at some wheat in another part of the state.
Sure.
Okay. So Jeff, we've traveled a few miles north here near Marshall, and the wheat looks different.
It is. We were looking at an October planting previously. In this situation, we have September planted wheat. We got a little bit of moisture. It got up and going and was looking okay in early October, and then the rains stopped, and it really hasn't had any rain on it in quite some time, and it's going backwards in a hurry.
Let's look at the actual wheat here. Walk us through this.
Well, we've got a few different plants here to look at. We have some that this plant is not dead, but it's not far from it. And when you look at these plants or this field from the road from a distance, you see these brown areas that look like they're dead. Most of them are not dead, but they're certainly hurting. We take this plant, for instance, right here. It has 3 tillers on it.
Right.
Normally this plant would have 8 to 10 tillers by this time of year. So it hasn't set the tillers that it normally would in the fall. And the tillers that it does have, we have our main tiller right here, and that's the one it's going to hold on to at all costs.
Right.
And then 2 secondary tillers. one of which it's questionable whether or not that one's still alive. It's probably going to go ahead and slough that tiller off and get rid of it. If it doesn't get some moisture in the very near future, it's going to get rid of this one, and you're going to be left with the main tiller. And hopefully we could get some spring tillering, but there's some damage that's done out here.
Okay, now what we learned from the last one, the roots at the crown, how do those compare?
Well, as you can see, we probably lost a few of the roots whenever we pulled it up, but it does have a few roots at the crown that have been going down, exploring, trying to get moisture. In this case, though, in this situation, the moisture just simply is not there. So we do have some crown roots started, which is a good sign, but they've done about all they can do.
Right.
And when we have temperatures in the 70s this time of year, what little moisture we do have is wicked out by these roots very quickly.
Okay, now producers across the state are starting to see some of their wheat turning colors, kind of a bluish color. Let's talk about what's causing that.
They are. The blue color wheat, or you look at wheat that has a bluish tint to it, but would be one stage behind this in terms of severity of the drought. And what you're seeing with that blue color is really a buildup of wax on the leaves, and it's a response to drought, the plant trying to hold in moisture, and that's giving it a bluish tint. So that's wheat that is hurting, just not quite at this stage yet. Give it a few weeks with these warm temperatures, and it'll be like this before you know it if we don't get some moisture.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you that expert question. What can producers do?
In this situation, if you have this out there, there's really nothing to do right now. We don't know what Mother Nature holds for us for the next few months, so really you want to limit costs on this and not put any more money into it. Now, if you're fortunate enough to have some of the wheat that does have some moisture, has 2 or 3 tillers and looks okay, you need to baby that along and really take care of it, because that's going to be our bread and butter next spring, the way things are looking. But wheat that has not emerged yet, or that is really far gone like this, limit your costs.
Okay, well, Jeff, thank you very much. We'll check in with you later on down the line, see how the wheat's doing. Jeff Edwards, small grain specialist here at Oklahoma State University.